Hi guys, I'm Kyle Machon with The Nocturnal. I would just like to offer congratulations on Supernova, and as a member of the LGBT community myself, I found it especially moving. So that being said, I'd like to start with Stanley by saying that I also enjoyed the pacing of the movie. How was it working with director Harry McQueen in developing this story?
Well, it was great. The thing is, I didn't have to help Harry develop the story. It was very well developed when I received it. It was a beautifully written script. It showed great restraint. It had silences and absences and pauses and ambiguity that so many scripts just don't have. It was incredibly truthful. It was dramatic without being dramatic. It was beautiful. And for that reason, I was thrilled to receive it. But also, I was the only person I could think of to play opposite was Colin because he's brilliant and we've been friends for a long time. So to help him, sort of shape the film, or we took out a few things here, we added a few things there, but really it was what Harry wrote.
So that leads me into my next question for Colin. So the director also stated that the sexuality of the main characters did not influence the narrative. Could you speak more to that and how you approach developing your character?
When something feels so alive, this came to me via Stanley, not via the director, and so it had Stanley all over it for me, and that gave it a kind of life. I have no idea what I would have thought of it had I not imagined Stanley as my partner. I think I'd have loved it anyway, and I would have wanted to do it anyway. But this is how it came. To me, it just was always me and Stanley, Sam and Tusker. I wouldn't have wanted really to switch out anybody for anybody else. I couldn't imagine it any other way. I just thought this is about these guys. That's it. It's this relationship. And it's amazing how much it felt like every relationship in some way. Not everybody is 60 years old. Not everybody's in a same-sex relationship. Not everybody's English or American or whatever. And yet, it's extraordinary how much this says, I think, about universal themes by being so specific and so intimate and so about two individual guys. It somehow is everybody's story because you will not meet anybody that hasn't experienced loss or anxiety about loss or fear of but or a longing to be in someone's company or minor irritations or secrets that you hold, with things you withhold from each other, it with saying so little verbally. I think it contained these things which resonate with, I would say, everybody.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes the love story so compelling on its own. And now I have a couple questions for both of you. So, also starting with Stanley, what do you hope young LGBTQ viewers take away from this movie?
That cinema is moving forward, uh, and as people like Harry are recognizing uh, that the sexuality of of a character is the sexuality of a character. There's no two leads of a film don't two lead characters in a film don't have to be a heterosexual couple, and this is really resonating, as Colin said, with audiences, which is fantastic. Um, I think that there's still a long way to go. There's still a lot of roles that need to be uh, played by actors in the community, and but I think that things are moving forward, and I'm glad of it. The representation and of the LGBT community is moving forward, and that is really important. And I hope it keeps happening.
Yes, I mean it gives us tremendous responsibility, and I think this I feel very strongly, you know, especially if the actors are not from the LGBTQ community,
Yeah,
that the representation um, is personal and compelling and done with courage, empathy, and just with this real pursuit of honesty with oneself. Because if you want to fight discrimination, it's very, very, very hard to discriminate against what you really, really know. You know, I think discrimination comes from ignorance. It comes from not understanding. It comes from not being personally acquainted. It comes from not loving.
And it comes from fear.
Yeah, but once you get to know the thing you're afraid of, you often find, you find fear is illusory, and so I think that an intimacy with a character, my dream is that through real knowledge and understanding of another human being, that discrimination becomes absurd.
I think one of the important things that is starting to happen in Hollywood is that gay actors are able to be openly gay, and this has been going on since the beginning of Hollywood, that you couldn't be a leading man or a leading lady or whatever if you were openly gay. So there was lots of sort of pretending and cover-ups and all that, and it was incredibly unfair. Once that changes, which is starting to do, there can be more of a level playing field, and that's what there has to be.
Yeah, I think the progress they've made is amazing, and that's all the time we have for today. So I'd like to thank you guys so much for taking the time to speak with me, and I look forward to this movie's releases coming Friday.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Kyle.